I'm gonna give you guys a blueprint to your first $5,000 of sales on Shopify, and I'm gonna give you basically everything you need to do, how to start, and basically everything you need to know about the entirety of the process of going from $0 to $5,000 in net revenue. I've done this a ton of times myself. If you're asking why should I listen to this guy, I've been running a Shopify store, both drop shipping and housing product in-house, quite literally in my home for the last 6 years. I was able to generate over 6 figures of revenue in the first 2 years, and that was working really part-time. It is now my full-time thing. It is what I do on a daily basis. I'm also product engineer, mechanical engineer, and I've been in the e-com and product world for the entirety of my career for the last 8+ years. And I've just had a lot of success in the space in a different way than most of the people that you're gonna watch on YouTube. I'm not peddling you a course. I'm just giving you a blueprint to what works for both me and works for businesses that do this full-time, A to Z, Fortune 500, 1500, you name it. This is what people do to get started, and this is how products go from inception to execution. Now, if you find this video helpful or you want to learn anything about personal finance, entrepreneurship, anything, there's tons of videos on this channel that'll help you just better yourself. I promise you, if you watch these videos, you'll be better for it. Please hit the subscribe button. This channel needs some love. We are growing. If you find the video helpful, like it, comment, just anything. I really appreciate it, but a subscribe, it's free to do, it really helps the channel. Okay, step one of the hardest things to do is select your product. I tell absolutely everybody the most important thing here is finding something, a niche that you're genuinely interested in. Pick a hobby, pick a product within the hobby. You need to be able to do something that you can find passion behind. We're gonna take the approach that is the $0 approach, the approach that costs you almost nothing to get started, because even the biggest companies basically do this themselves. They'll send a lower level person and they will run these same tests until something is proven and there's a use case for it or a minimum viable product or whatever it's going to be, and then they launch it at a larger scale. But it always starts with the same thing. It starts with a product, then testing, then small batch execution, and then you grow it from there if there's success, or you hedge your bet. You say, the chances are good that if I double down on this, we're gonna have success long-term. And that's all you can do. So pick a hobby, find what you're passionate about. We're gonna use, let's say, camera equipment, filmography, photography, you name it, anything to do with cameras as an example for this video. We're then gonna find a product that we are going to basically say, it is successful. For this case, we're gonna use tripods, and let's just say tripods that can be weighted down if you need to, like if you're filming in a windy condition or something like that. But that's the example that we're gonna use for this video, weighted down tripods. Now, this is obviously a successful product. You don't have to prove anything. You could obviously create something new, but this is a great way to get some dollar bills in your pocket. So what we're gonna go do is we're gonna find a niche tripod setup that people are looking for, that's popular, that people are buying. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. And then we're going to go find on Alibaba, AliExpress, another manufacturing site. Basically, we're gonna find that same product where we can sell it at a discount. Now, we're looking for something substantial. We're trying to create a cost fallacy, right? When something is so cheap, people are gonna buy it. They're gonna take the risk. Even if there's no brand recognition, brand awareness, you're going to take the risk because it's such a good deal, right? So we're gonna try to source something, let's say something's list priced for $80, right? We're gonna try to source it for $5 to $8, and then we're gonna sell it for $40 to $50. And that's basically it. We're gonna rinse and repeat this process. And I know that sounds like, whoa, how did you just simplify it? Well, it's not that simple because there's a lot of testing. Not everything is going to work. And any guru that says, I'm gonna guarantee a product it's gonna work and put it in front of you is just lying, right? I mean, it just takes testing. You gotta kind of test it. That's the only thing that really costs money. But the reason I'm not gonna say it costs any money, because if you buy something, it might take you a year to sell it, but you'll get your money back eventually if you're on Facebook and doing your thing and trying to sell it in groups, and that's ultimately what you're gonna do. You're gonna put your product in front of people on Facebook, but we'll get there in a second. So you're testing your product. You're basically buying the products, you're buying like 5 or 10 of them, you're getting 5 as a sample, and you're going on Facebook, you're going to groups like about photography or whatever it's gonna be, and you're gonna post, you're gonna comment, you're gonna say you're starting this new company, you've put together a little Shopify store at this point, you've built all your stuff, there are plenty of videos on how to do that, and you're just going direct to consumer. You're just asking people like, can you do a test kit? You're doing anything you can to get a sale. And I know that sounds stupid, but this is a great way to start the process of how hard is it to sell. It's going to teach you what does it mean to really sell this product to the consumer, right? I don't want to give you this is how you should do it, because what you really need to do is just get your hands dirty. You need to make these sales. And if you don't really know what to do, that means like going into the group, finding an active person in there and commenting on a post, messaging them privately. It can be uncomfortable, but that's how the sales world operates. And I know that people think of e-commerce as something that you can just kind of set and forget, but that's not reality. That's not how you start. E-com becomes something like that when you have money to spend to get your product in front of people. You don't have any money, right? So we're doing this organically. We're doing this like direct to consumer. Once you start selling your product, right? Because the product is either going to be impossible to sell with the human aspect, or you're going to sell a little bit of it, then you're going to double down. You're going to start becoming the expert on that product. You're going to be the expert in that group, right? Let's say I found a photography group on Facebook and it's got like 20,000 people in it. Let's say I've made a few sales and you're like, I'm really gonna test this. I'm gonna then spend 3 to 4 months going into that group, commenting on everything, becoming a known name, right? I want people to recognize me. I want people to know who I am. I wanna be this known entity. And then I'm gonna post or comment after I've created this kind of awareness of who I am about the small company that I'm launching, and can I get some support? And that's how the balls are going to start rolling. And then you're going to start figuring out what kind of posts and what kind of comments will drive the most traffic, right? There isn't a clear picture here. Anyone that says there is, there isn't, but these are the things you have to test, and then you're gonna start making sales. Once you get a certain amount of money in your war chest, meaning your bank account, you can then start running ads and doubling down, but you should be able to make your first $5,000 doing this. I've done that with every company and every product that I've ever launched. With my store right now, over the last 6 years, I've launched over 85 products, and actually I've done exactly what I'm telling you right now with each and every single product. Even though they're in the same niche now, I still do the same thing because it gives me raw data. I know that customers actually want it, and they're not just buying it because it's on the store. That can be useful too, but I don't want those kinds of products. I want products that are going to grow organically, and I want products that are going to execute on ad spend if I ever have to. And we're just going to keep doing that. We're going to hustle to $5,000 because honestly, $5,000 isn't that many sales. When you really think about it, if you're pricing a product around $50, do the math, you don't have to have that many sales, right? So you should be able to create that $5,000 in revenue direct to consumer. Now, you might be at this point in the video and say, this is too easy. This doesn't make sense. Everything that I've just said is not easy, right? It really puts you in the shoes of somebody that's going to be working in sales. And e-com is sales. And there seems to be this big smoke and mirrors thing that people that work in e-commerce and dropship or whatever it is can step away from the sales seat. That will never be the case, whether it's negotiating with your suppliers, your manufacturers, whether it's making deals, you're gonna be a salesman. And the best way to understand your product and build your store is to get boots on the ground, right? It's like when I talk to people that are really going at entrepreneurship and e-commerce, and they're like, I wanna create an e-com brand and I want that to be a full-time job. My answer is always go work for somebody else first. Nobody ever wants to do it, but everyone that's had success in this world has done it. I myself included, I put 18 months in working all different kinds of positions in the consulting world and the sales world for another brand in my competition of the niche that I'm in right now, which might sound like a conflict of interest, but it's what I had to do to learn everything that I had to do specific to that niche. So it's all about learning and putting your time in, rolling up your sleeves, getting your hands dirty, but that's the blueprint, right? I've just given you what every successful company does. And you might think those big companies making millions and billions of dollars aren't doing that. Well, Walmart's doing it with secret shoppers to an extent, right? That's more like beta testing and A and B testing and all that kind of stuff. But to a different extent, every company is doing this. They're getting boots on the ground. They're doing direct to consumer surveying, feasibility. They're doing all that. The only difference is you're going to do that with the sales pitch and you're going to just bring money in the boat. Once you have some money in, your options are greater. You can hire someone to do it if that's very successful, if that drives revenue. One, you've crossed off to selling direct to consumer makes sense to me, right? Okay, you want to try some ad spend. Well, you got money in the bank now. You want to buy more product and lower your product costs. You got money in the bank right now. So that's why going to that $5,000 mark is so important. It just gives you some room. That's the blueprint. Roll your sleeves up. Hopefully this video enables you and helps you kind of get started. There are other videos on this channel that will help you in different areas depending on what you're doing and your approach, and different approaches that I've taken with the companies that I've started and I currently run. So feel free to browse through the channel, but that's what you should do.